seated. The jury is now with us. Mr. Johnson is next witness. Would you stand, sir, and raise your right hand and be sworn?
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Please be seated.
Good afternoon.
Hello.
Please state your name for the record and spell your last name.
J. Douglas Johnston, Johnston.
And what is your occupation?
Special Agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
And how long have you been involved in law enforcement?
A little over 27 years.
And how long with the FBI?
A little over 19 years.
What other location or what other agency have you worked for with respect to law enforcement?
Worked with the Jackson County Sheriff's Department in Jackson, Michigan for approximately 8 years, class 4 of which I was a sergeant.
And what are your present duties at the Federal Bureau of Investigation?
Currently assigned to Detroit Division, Marquette Resident Agency. So one of 5 agents that work in Marquette. We cover the entire peninsula and enforce federal laws.
And were you involved in the investigation into Christopher Regan's disappearance?
Yes.
How did you become involved in the investigation?
We were contacted by Chief Frizzo in August of 2015.
And what support did you provide to Chief Frizzo in this investigation?
Initially, she contacted our office to see if we could bring any additional resources to her investigation, such as evidence response. So we coordinated the response of our evidence response team out of Detroit, who assisted in several issues. We also assisted Chief Frizzo and her department in conducting several interviews in Michigan as well as Indiana.
And during the course of the investigation, did you speak with the defendant, Kelly Cochran?
I did.
Did you speak with her in Indiana on or around November 12th, 2015?
That's correct.
What were you doing in Indiana at that time?
We were assisting our evidence response team and the Sheriff's Department in Indiana in the execution of several search warrants.
And where did you initially make contact with the defendant at?
She was at her workplace at a private residence in St. John, Indiana, which is near Gary, Indiana, near Maryville, Indiana, where she was living. And she was emptying water, draining irrigation system. We made contact with her there.
And was anyone with you at that time?
2 additional FBI agents of the Maryville Resident Agency.
What did you do with her when you made contact with her, or what did you do when you made contact with her at her workplace?
We made contact with her as discreetly as possible, identified myself, identified the other agents that were with me. We explained to her that we had a search warrant to get her fingerprints and her DNA. Fingerprints and her one other item, to search her truck. We asked her if she'd mind accompanying us down to the Maryville Residence Agency in Indiana to take those items and participate in an interview.
And did she agree to come with you?
She did.
So you transported her down to the agency. What, if anything, was done with her truck, do you know?
Her truck at the time was at her work location, so we traveled from St. John, Indiana to her work location so that we could recover her truck. And then we all traveled to the resident agency in our vehicle.
And when you say recover her truck, was it towed to the agency?
It was.
So when you brought her to the agency, did you take her into an interview room?
Yes.
And was the interview recorded?
Yes, it was.
And did you receive a copy of that interview upon completion?
I did.
And did you retain a copy for your file?
Yes.
And what did you do with the original?
Provided it to the Iron River Police Department because it was their investigation.
While driving to the interview location, was there any discussion or conversation with the defendant in the vehicle?
Yes, there was.
And what was discussed?
I explained to her that she wasn't under arrest. I explained the purpose of our making contact with her was to execute these Lake County, Indiana search warrants on her truck and on her for her fingerprints. We discussed. I gave her a copy of the search warrants. We discussed. She had some questions about what was in the search warrant, and then we discussed her education, and that's it.
And what was her education, if you recall?
She indicated that she had graduated from the University of Purdue in Calumet with a bachelor's degree in psychology in 2014.
Was there any discussion regarding forensics?
She had read in the search warrant affidavit that we were looking for a sawzall. She told us where the sawzall would be. I asked her if she had taken a forensic science class in college, and she indicated that she had, as well as her husband, had also taken a forensic science class.
Now, when you arrived at your destination, did you interview her at that time?
Yes.
Was anyone in the interview room with you other than the defendant?
No.
How did you start out the interview?
She had indicated that she was in a bit of a hurry, so I asked her if it would be worth her time if I explained the entire case, the entire investigation conducted by the Marion River Police Department, Michigan State Police, and the FBI. And she agreed it would be worth her time, so I spent about 20 minutes summarizing the entire case for her.
And what types of things did you tell her at that time?
Literally everything I could think about and recall about the investigation. I talked about the searches that had been done, what items had been recovered, what items had been submitted to the lab, the state police lab, the FBI lab. We talked about phone records, text records. We talked about some of the statements that she had made that law enforcement had issues with, either that they didn't believe or thought they were contrary to other evidence that we had.
And did you speak with her at all about a rabbit's foot?
I did.
What did you tell her about a rabbit's foot?
I asked her if she owned a rabbit's foot. She said she did not. I asked her if Chris Reagan, to her knowledge, owned a rabbit's foot. She said she didn't know.
And did you discuss with her 3 scenarios?
I did.
Okay, and what were the 3 scenarios that you discussed with her?
I explained to her that law enforcement was considering several possible scenarios as to how she and her husband were involved in Chris Reagan's disappearance. I said there are literally probably a dozen different scenarios, but some of the 3 scenarios, or 3 of the scenarios that we're considering are, first, that she and her husband conspired together to kill Chris Reagan, either for money or for revenge or for some other motive. So the second possible motive that we were entertaining was that she and Chris Reagan were involved in some sort of a extramarital encounter, and her husband caught them, and that her husband then killed Chris Reagan. And the third scenario I presented is that because we believe that the crime occurred at her house, and that Chris Reagan would not be at her house without her, that perhaps her husband had tricked her and Chris Reagan into thinking that he would be gone, and somehow got him to come over, Chris Reagan to come over to their house, at which time he might have killed Chris.
When you discussed these 3 scenarios, did that elicit any sort of response from her?
Not initially, no.
And did you speak with her regarding her safety?
I did. At one point, I told her that the purpose of the interview was to provide her with all the information so that she could make a decision as to whether or not she thought it was in her best interest to talk to law enforcement. I wanted her to hear everything that we had, and all frankly, the circumstantial case at that point was against her, so that she could make an intelligent decision as to what she wanted to say to law enforcement, if anything. I said, I want to give you all of that, but I want to take one thing away. I want to take away from you your ability to come into court later and say that you were afraid of your husband and that's why you lied. I told her that it was at this point 13 months after the investigation, after Chris went missing. It had been a long, detailed investigation. She'd been interviewed multiple times by law enforcement and denied any involvement. And I told her that now was the time to tell the truth, and that she wasn't going to be able to try and say that she was afraid later.
And did she tell you any information in response to that?
The first substantive thing she said after that is that there was no crime. She then went on to suggest that Chris Reagan may still be alive, or that Chris Reagan may have killed himself.
What was her demeanor during this discussion?
She was stoic, she was cooperative, courteous but not polite, and very matter of fact.
Was there, what discussion, if any, was held regarding how she entered his apartment?
I discussed the fact that we had her on video entering her apartment the day after Chris Reagan went missing. I asked her how she got into her apartment. She indicated she had a key. I asked her how she got that key, and she said that Chris had given her the key. However, she could not recall when he gave her the key.
And what discussion, if any, was held regarding whether any money was taken from Chris?
She denied having ever gotten any money from Chris, or having taken any money from his apartment the day after he went missing.
And what was your response?
In regards to whether or not she had taken any money, or
Right.
gotten any money, I asked her how she had paid some bills that she had recently paid.
And what was her reaction?
She indicated that she had gotten, or she had always been able to save money. My reaction, or my response to that was, we're under the impression, or we're being told that you were unemployed for some 2 weeks at that point, that you were behind on your bills, and that your husband was unemployed. How did you come up with the money? And she didn't give a solid answer.
Now, was there any discussion regarding Chris's blood being present in her vehicle or her house?
I asked her if there was any reason that, I asked her if she had told her family or anybody in her family that there would be blood in Chris Regan's vehicle, in her vehicle that belonged to Chris Regan. And she indicated that she had said that to her family member, and then she went on to explain.
Okay, and what did she explain as to how the blood came in her vehicle with respect to Chris
She
Regan?
said that Chris had cut himself at one point while they were out hiking. She couldn't recall when that was, other than at one point she said it was several months ago, and several months before he went missing. She indicated that they were walking and he either cut his ankle or his knee. I asked her how severe he was bleeding. She said pretty bad. I asked her, would that blood be in the bed of the truck? Would it be in the cab of the truck, or both? She said it could be anywhere. I tried to ask her why it would be in the bed of the truck, and she said, well, we sat on the tailgate at one point. I said, well, would it then be anywhere? Did he need stitches? She said, no. Did he need a Band-Aid? She said, I don't know if he even needed a Band-Aid. But she indicated that there could be blood in the front or the back of the truck.
And do you recall what she said he cut himself on?
They were walking in a mossy area, and he somehow cut either his ankle or her knee, or his knee. She kept repeating the fact that it was either his ankle or his knee.
Was there any further discussion regarding blood in her house?
I told her about the numerous items that had been recovered from her home and that had been submitted to the lab. As I explained to her, we were executing the search because we had received information that the Sawzall, or a Sawzall, was in the back of her truck, and we wanted to get that Sawzall in case it was used in commission of this crime. Because the state police had recovered a Sawzall blade in a fire pit behind the house, and the Sawzall was significant to us. So we executed the search warrant and got that Sawzall well before we were ready to actually go and interview her. We would have preferred to